Huge news roundup today. We're going to be talking about every aspect of the game, it seems. First up, balance. In the most recent patch, so this is on the live version of the game, Ashe can no longer gain ult charge while Bob is on the battlefield. Now, you might say, oh, this is fair. This is how a lot of other ults work. But Bill Warnecki did come onto the forums to clarify, yes, this is a bug and they're working on fixing it. But with no ETA given, who knows how long it's going to take for Ashe to be returned back to her more powerful state. So keep that in mind, because Ashe's Bob charge rate is one of her biggest assets, I would say. She either gets picks, carries the fight, or charges Bob. And we all could use more Bob in our life, let's just be honest. Next up, Neri on Twitter revealed a very important defense matrix change, which I say just outright needs to be called a nerf. Not only did the range get decreased that we talked about before, but now there is a very obvious visual indicator for the ability, whereas before it was much more transparent, making it a lot easier to hide it. In the chaos of a hectic team fight with tons of particle effects, now the new visual, it actually looks exactly how it looks in Heroes of the Storm now that I think about it, but it's much easier to see poking through a Reinhardt's shield or in the mess of a team fight, meaning that it's going to be a lot easier for your opponents to notice when it's up or down, so they can more easily exploit the big gap of 2 seconds before you can put it back up again. With the most recent patch, there was small hero updates that I didn't think were too important to mention, but in case you didn't know, both Baptiste's Immortality Field and Hammond's Mines now, when they're on a platform, will move along the platform. This came along with other bug fixes too. For example, when Junkrat uses Tire on a platform, he won't be pushed off it. This should work for the payload moving as well, which is important because then you can put those abilities on moving platforms and get the desired effect to move its value along to a more relevant location. Important stuff if you're playing those heroes. Now, next up, Jeff Kaplan went on Stylosis' channel for another interview and dropped a hint about upcoming events as we kick off Overwatch's 4th year. It seems like they're going to change things up a bit.
I have big announcements. I'm not going to tell you any today.
I have to try.
There's actually some super awesome stuff. I think it's going to be a very, very exciting summer. It's going to be a very different summer. That's the one hint that I will leave. I know what our players like to do is they like to look back at the calendar and say, this is what always happens, and this is when I expect things.
Yes.
And there's going to be some mix-up in this summer when things land. So if expectations are like, oh, this is the day when the tweet's supposed to go out telling us about, summer games, for example, those dates are all going to be different.
Now, what could Jeff be hinting to in saying that the dates will be different? The accuracy of Jeff's hints haven't been exactly on point recently. I think he overdid it with the D.Va skin will break the internet. And here, he may even be underselling it. Because are we really going to be excited if the dates of an event are slightly different? Surely the time period of events isn't something to be excited for. It's the content of them that we get hyped about. So, questions that you might bring up, are they doing a different suite of events this year? Perhaps dropping some, bringing new ones, even different game modes, who knows? The only thing we can be certain based on this hint is that they have a new schedule, which may mean things can drop on a different time period. Typically the Summer Games event would start the first week of August, which I always thought was kind of late for summer. You'd think July would make more sense, but nevertheless, the major thing that I'm most excited for is that Jeff did say that there are big things to announce, just not yet. So all lines point to this summer being something big that we want to see. Remember, in previous interviews, Jeff has already alluded to the summer update being, quote, the thing the community asked for explicitly. Is it a roll queue of some kind? Are there major tweaks to the yearly event system coming up? We'll have to wait and see. Let's just put it this way. I certainly don't want to wait till August to find out. Moving on, we're currently still in event, the anniversary, and I wish I mentioned this last week because by the time this video goes live, the first week to farm your arcade loot boxes will already have been concluded. As you can see here, I sure up mine quite easily by playing a ton of Hero Gauntlet, but you actually can earn a free loot box by playing any of these modes. If you want to have a really easy time, you can always look out for the co-op missions. You could even just play it on easy, complete it 3 times in a row, boom, there's a loot loot box, and I believe you can find on their website what the rotation will be for the different daily slot. Or if you're a tryhard sweaty like me, jump into the Hero Gauntlet, where games last just about 5 minutes, and I've just been absolutely loving this mode. The only complaint I have is the matchmaking isn't quite aggressive enough. Either that, or there just isn't that many high-level players that go into this mode. But in any case, remember, you just have to get into the top 3 to have it count as a victory. The reason why I bring this up is because during the anniversary event, you can earn any skin from any event. So yeah, of course, you can use your currency right now to go buy any skin that you previously missed, but as far as I know, with how these RNG systems work out, gaining loot boxes in the anniversary event will be the most valuable, because the way they've tweaked how duplicates work, you're less likely to get dud loot boxes if there's things left for you to unlock. So with that being the case, if there's a bunch of legendaries you haven't got yet, getting loot boxes now not only will get you skins now, but will also make your loot boxes more effective in the upcoming events as well. Good luck on the skin grind, everybody. Moving on to Overwatch League news, they announced that actually starting today, there is an event called Skin in the Game from May 27th to the 31st. Anytime you play in quick play or competitive wearing your favorite Overwatch League team's skin, you'll earn your team a point, and the winning team will go on an Instagram takeover of the Overwatch League. The other way you can manipulate votes is by tweeting out hashtag #MyOwlTeam and tag your favorite team. It says you can do it as many times as you want, which doesn't seem to make sense to me. You can play a game for 10 or 20 minutes to get a vote, or you can just spam out tweets in seconds, and those are equal the same points. Come on, we're gamers here. We're supposed to be able to know the exploits of systems like this. That's the thing they're doing. But what many of us are wondering is, will the PTR patch be scheduled to coincide with Stage 3? Well, from people that I've talked to, nobody seems to know yet, which is kind of unfortunate. Maybe the devs don't know if the patch is going to be ready. I mean, that seems doubtful, but they did say that they want to coincide the live patch of the game with Overwatch League as much as possible, which is why I think it's likely that the next patch will go through. However, Ark, former NYXL player, current Washington Justice support, says Stage 3 is GOATs. Yep, no kidding. It's not like the new patch changes anything for the GOATs meta. I'm kind of beyond explaining why, and to some degree, I'm just in shock that they don't seem to treat GOATs as a problem. Of course, the DVa Nerfs will further open up gaps for DPS to beat GOATs, but I don't think to a severe degree. McCree gets super buffed, but GOATs runs him over anyway. I actually had a back and forth about this with Sam Mito, and we pretty much concluded, like, even if other things are runnable, we still are ending up with the circle of GOATs. And in fact, I'm even more afraid that some comps people like to watch, like triple DPS, will just be whack, because I think it's a lot easier to just sub in a McCree into a 3-3 to just completely stop any flanker game now, meaning that there's a good chance the next stage could somehow even be more GOAT-centric, albeit perhaps with the McCree sometimes to shut down any DPS attempts. Other Overwatch League news, the Commissioner, Nate Nanzer, just bounced out of the Overwatch League for apparently no reason. He's heading over to head Fortnite esports, and this has left many community members scratching our head. Why did he leave? Is there trouble in paradise, or did Epic Games just drop that fat stack of cash and it was just an offer he couldn't refuse? I'd say that's pretty likely, because Epic just loves to throw money around at everything. That's the method they're doing in order to buff up the Epic store, doing the same thing for their esports scene, despite the gameplay being kind of jank, to be honest. Just throw prize pool money at it and hope it works out. Nate Nanzer coming in could indicate that they're looking for a league system, or at the very least restructure and add some direction to what they're doing with their esports over there. Does this spell bad news for the Overwatch League? A lot of people think no, because Nate's primary role seemed to be just getting the Owl team's owners to invest into the league, and with no expansion teams coming out next year, well, he doesn't really have much of a job to do, because it's not like we ever really saw him talk about rule changes for the league or really any issue beyond just the structure of the league as a concept. So it'll be interesting to see who takes up the reins as the new commissioner. The king of Overwatch Leaks, Slasher, threw his hat on the ring hilariously on Twitter, proclaiming his first move as commish would be to enforce 222 roll lock, ban 2CP entirely, and begin meetings on hero bans soon. And he's going to bring back the Pepes, so I say that gives my vote. This is all jokes, of course. Nobody in the gaming side is actually going to go into the management role for the league. And again, based on the job description, I don't know if any of this has any impact on our viewing experience of the game or how we interact with it. So next up, workshop news. Covering everything today, I told you. Very Very important if you are a workshop creator. Unlike last PTR, the codes generated will not cross over when this PTR concludes. Keith Mirren explains and says, sorry for the inconvenience, but keep in mind that you can copy out your workshop script to text, so you can consider storing them locally. Moving on, let's look at a couple cool things that creators have produced for us in the workshop, which always brings us back to Darwin, basically. Workshop MVP. First up, he's got piercing bullets, which allows you to shoot through walls and enemies, giving you the potential to pop a Plat to set up old school trick shots, ladder stall 720, achy fakey kickflip, MLG legit. That's what the kids are about nowadays, right? No? Okay. This next one from Darwin's kind of heartwarming, actually. Overwatch Paint. You can paint pretty pictures on a wall, put them in 3D, and I guess you could even play Pictionary with this, which I would ask, why would you want to? Pictionary is an evil game, and it ends relationships. Just joking. Okay, too casual for you? Well, how about a tryhard one? This is an aerial aim trainer. We've seen previous ones of this in the past, but this one's just dedicated to aerial aim, giving you a ton of targets to work with, and it even has distance controls to put the jumping enemies closer or further away so you can train really difficult shots. At the very least, I think you should warm up with this kind of thing because air shots are the most challenging and force you to read animations and trajectories. Link to the description to see that or anything that we've covered here today. Go check it out. Next up, we've got some community news. Gabrielle sent me this on Twitter. This is her DVa custom car. Just fully kitted out with everything DVa. The pink lights underneath are a cute touch. But my favorite bit is the shifter looks exactly like the joysticks that DVa uses inside of her mech. Really, really cool. Next up is this Mercy guide made by the YouTuber Cappuccino, dedicated to talking about how to stop dying, which is your biggest skill set as Mercy, covering positioning, movement tech, all that I think is pretty required. And through my time reviewing VODs of players, I don't think Mercy players fully actualize her kit until around Master's rank. So if you feel like, well, I can't rank up, my team's just bad, surely I can't improve. Trust me, it's tips like these covered in this video that will help you start to max out the character's potential. At the really high ranks, she starts to fall off, and in my opinion, is one of the worst characters in the game to heal tanks, since her best cooldown to help them is to res them. But other than that, utilize some of these tips and you can upgrade your Mercy game. I really miss the days when Overwatch YouTubers made a lot of guides. They're so far and few between nowadays. I try to still make them myself when I can, but there's just so many heroes and the meta's always changing, it's hard to keep up. Next up is our last story of the day, but certainly not least. Here we got Cannibal Red, who uploaded a video explaining how he was able to achieve platinum rank while being legally blind. Yeah, it's pretty incredible. Now, he explains that he's not completely blind, he doesn't just see black, but it's just extreme blurriness all the time. So much so that he can't read his cooldowns, the timer on the clock, Widow's out in the distance, but is able to utilize game sense and especially sound cues in order to help direct him. You can check it out to hear the full explanation, but just thought it was an interesting perspective check when we got players out here making every excuse in the book of why it's everyone else in the world's fault but their own, why they can't rank up. Meanwhile, Cannibal Red over here achieved Plat rank playing DVa and Moira and is looking to keep improving to get up to Diamond. Congratulations to you, man. But that's gonna be everything for today's news roundup video. I hope you guys did enjoy it, and if you did, please be sure to leave it a like. It really does help us out, lets us know that you're enjoying the content, and if you haven't already, please subscribe and be sure to hit the bell icon so that you get notified when our videos go live. Link to the description is our Twitter, where we tweet out news, updates, and dank memes. That's been it for me. I've been FREEDO for your Overwatch. See you guys next time.